3.1 Game of 20 Questions. You are listening to the book Let's Unfold the Wings of Creativity. This book is an English translation of the original book written by Dr. Nalini Gujrathi. Suchitra Chitrao is the translator, Sulabha Sidhaye is the editor, and the book is being read out to you by Dr. Deepthi Sidhaye. Now let's listen to the book. Chapter 3 Questioning Skills 3.1 Game of 20 Questions. Everyone. Tai, what game are we going to play today? Pratibha Tai. Oh yes. Looks like all of you are very eager to play. Not only is the game interesting, but it also makes us think in the right direction and ask the right questions. We have named it Yaksha Prashna. Do you know why it is given such a peculiar name? Prerna. I think it is related to an incident in Mahabharata. Yakshas are mythological creatures with superhuman powers. They primarily protect natural resources like water bodies, trees, and jungles. There was a Yaksha who asked some questions to Yudhishthir, one of the lead characters in the epic Mahabharata. The questions were quite tricky, but Yudhishthir answered them very brilliantly. Probably that is why tricky questions are called Yaksha Prashna. Pratibha Tai. Absolutely right. I will explain the game now. One person thinks of a word related to an object or a substance, writes it down on a piece of paper, folds the paper and keep it aside. To start with, a hint is to be given. Something like, it is in this room, or it belongs to the plant or animal kingdom, or it is used in the physics laboratory, etc. Okay? The rest of the players should guess the word by asking questions. Now the catch is, the answer can only be yes or no. You need to form your questions accordingly. A maximum 20 questions are allowed. So questions which directly involve name of the object will not work. The word should be guessed with questions which involve information about the object. Information like components, construction, properties, uses, and so on. Only then will 20 questions be sufficient to guess the right answer. Remember, we are not going to ask any questions directly involving the names of the objects. Naveen. I think I have understood it. Suppose I think of a fruit. You should not ask questions like, is it a mango, guava, sapota? Instead, the question should be like, is it red in color, sour to taste? Am I right? Pratibha Thai. Yes. Let's play a trial game now. I have thought of an object present in this room and written it down on this piece of paper. Now I am folding the paper and keeping it right here. You start asking questions and guess what it is. Please ask one by one so that there is no confusion. Will you start? Kalpana? Kalpana. 1. Is it a piece of furniture? Pratibha Tai. No. Naveen. 2. Is it a metallic object? Pratibha Tai. No. Srujan. 3. Is it made up of glass? Pratibha Tai. No. Prerna. 4. Is it made up of fabric? Pratibha Tai. No. Kalpana. Oh my god. Not a piece of furniture, which means sofa set, table, chair, teapot are out. Non-metallic, so it can't be a fan, grill, handle or nut bolt. It is not made up of glass. That means we have to discard door panels, window panes, flower pots and the glass on the teapot. It is not made up of cloth. That rules out the linen. Now what can that object be? Pratibha Tai. Kalpana, it's okay for now, since this is a trial game. But keep in mind, everyone, no loud thinking. Another thing, keep track of the questions asked and avoid repetitions. Otherwise, questions are wasted. Kalpana. Okay then, 5. Is it made up of plastic? Pratibha Tai. No. Kalpana to herself. That leaves out pen stand, pen, plastic glass, and all that. Naveen. 6. Is it made up of cement? Pratibhatai. No. Naveen to himself. So things like tiles and walls are out. Prerna to herself. Looks like it isn't any of the visible objects. Aloud. 7. Is it any form of energy? Pratibhatai. No. Prerna to herself. That strikes out the sources of energy like light, electricity, and all that. Naveen. 8. Is it matter? To himself. It has to be. Pratibhatai. Yes. Srujan to himself. A positive answer at last. Let me go for some scientific questions now. Aloud. 9. Is it an element? Pratibhatai. No. Kalpana to herself. There. I can see a piece of chalk in this room. Let me try. Aloud. 10. Is it a compound? Pratibhatai. No. Prerna. 11. Is it a mixture then? To herself. It has to be. Pratibhatai. Yes. Naveen to himself. Oh boy. What are the mixtures present in this room? Aloud. Is it in solid state? Pratibhatai. No. Naveen. 13. Is it in liquid form? Pratibhatai. No. Kalpana. 14. Is it in gaseous state? To herself. It has to be. Pratibhatai. Yes. Children, 14 questions down already. Prerna. To herself. I think I've got the answer, but just a few more pointed questions to confirm it. Prerna. 15. Is this gaseous mixture man-made? Pratibhatai. No. Srujan to himself. So is it naturally occurring? 16. Does it have a color? Pratibhatai. No. Srujan. 17. Does it have odor? Pratibhatai. No. Naveen. 18. Is it necessary for breathing? Pratibhatai. Yes. Naveen. That means it is air. Pratibhatai. Yes. See, I have written it down here. Writing down the word beforehand ensures that the player cannot change it later. In short, no scope for cheating. Prerna. A mixture of gases inside this room was enough to guess the right answer. Still, we asked a few more questions about its properties just to ensure. Pratibhatai. Since the object was from this room, it was quite natural for you to ask about things like furniture, windows, and all that. Now just think whether you could have managed with less questions. To reduce the number of questions, in which order should you have asked them? In order to be more efficient, start by asking, is it matter or energy? If the answer is matter, go for the classification. Ask whether it is an element, a compound, or mixture. Then go for the state of the object, solid, liquid, or gas. This way, 8 questions based on classification and 4 based on properties. In all, 12 to 13 questions would have been sufficient to guess that the answer is air. Kalpana. Okay, you mean the order of the questions is important. It may not be the same every time. If we start by asking about color of the object, we may end up wasting some questions. No point asking is it black or blue or red. Tai, let's play another round please. May I choose the object this time? Pratibhatai. Yes, sure. Write it down on this paper. Fold it properly and place it on the table. Remember, you have to give us a hint to start with. Kalpana. It is an apparatus in the physics lab. It is required for some experiments. Remember, our experiments in the physics lab are related to electromagnets, sound, light, force, and all that. Naveen, I will start. Is it metallic? Kalpana, no. Srujan, 2. Is it wooden? Kalpana, no. Prerna, 3. Is it made of glass? Kalpana, yes. Prerna, 4. Is it round in shape? Kalpana, no. Naveen, 5. Is it cylindrical? Kalpana, no. Naveen, 6. Is it rectangular? Kalpana, no. Srujan, 7. Is it used to conduct experiments related to light? Kalpana, yes. Prerna, to herself, not spherical, so it is not a lens, not cubical, so not related to refraction of light. Maybe it concerns dispersion of light. Aloud, 8. Does it contain triangles? Kalpana, yes. Prerna, is it a prism? Kalpana, yes it is. She unfolds the paper. Pratibhatai, that is really nice. You got it in just 9 questions. Naveen, tell us how you arrived at your first question. Naveen, since it was an object from the science lab, I thought that knowing its composition is important. As it turned out to be non-metallic, metallic objects like stand, foil, wire, vessels were ruled out. Prerna, wood and glass are commonly used in most of the apparatus. Since it turned out to be a glass object, I thought it must either be some kind of a container or an optical instrument. After asking some appropriate questions, I found the right answer. Pratibhatai, great. You see, our questions should be logical and in the right direction. Such games teach us to think logically. Srujan, it's my turn now, Tai. Naveen, no, it's mine. Prerna, I will go first. Pratibhatai, come on children, don't quarrel. Let's draw lots. All of you write your names on a piece of paper. I will draw the chit. She draws a marked piece of paper. Srujan gets selected. It's your turn, Srujan. Write down your word and give us a hint. I have noted down the name on this paper. You may start now. Remember not to ask names. Srujan, it belongs to the plant kingdom and has beautiful flowers. Kalpana, is it a tree? To herself, champak, Spanish cherry, that is bakul, night jasmine, that is parijat, are big trees. Srujan, no. Prerna, 2. Is it a creeper? To herself, like the jasmine family? Srujan, no. Naveen, 3. Is it a shrub which can be grown in pots as well as in the soil? Srujan, yes. Kalpana, 4. Does it have thorns? To herself, maybe it is a rose. Srujan, no. Prerna, 5. Are the flowers white? To herself, it may be tuberose or jasmine. Srujan, no. Naveen, 6. Are the flowers orange in color? To himself, could be marigold or Crossandra, that is aboli. Srujan, no. Kalpana, to herself, I won't ask the color. We'll talk about something else. Aloud, 7. Does it flower round the year? Srujan, yes. Kalpana, 8. Do we study its parts in our botany lessons? Srujan, yes. Prerna, 9. Is it red in color? To herself, should be hibiscus. Srujan, yes. Naveen, 10. Are the petals considerably large in size? Srujan, yes. Naveen, 11. Do the stigma stick out in bunches? Srujan, yes. Prerna, 12. It is hibiscus, isn't it? Srujan, yes, you guessed it right. Prerna, when it was clear that we study it in our botany class, I had already guessed the right name. Still, I asked a few more questions just to be sure. Tai, we are enjoying this game thoroughly. Wish we could go on playing forever. Pratibhatai, children, you've got a hang of this game now. This game of 20 questions is based on Zuckman's yes or no approach used for inquiry of an object. In other words, finding information about the object. We have named it Yaksha Prashna. You can play this game whenever you get a chance. Your textbook is a good source. There's a wide range of objects to choose from, like an element, a metal, a compound. You can even include a microorganism or an organ of the human digestive system. The questions in this game help to improve our grasping power. They also enhance the skills of logical thinking. Kalpana, how is it related to creativity? Pratibhatai, that's a good question, Kalpana. The main advantage is that it arouses our curiosity and inquisitiveness. In order to guess the chosen object, we start thinking about it. A lot of ideas cross our mind and they take the form of questions. With this as a starting point, we are going to enhance our questioning skills. We have already discussed to some extent the relationship between observations and creativity. Things which are not completely understood by observations alone make us inquisitive. At times, new things come into light when we look for answers to our queries. Dr. Frank Kingdon has rightly said, questions are the creative acts of intelligence. Naveen, okay, is this how Newton discovered gravity? When Newton observed the apple falling down from a tree, he was haunted by the question, why do fruits fall downward only? Surjan, such a question does not strike us, so we remain just what we are. However, Newton has questions. As a result, he becomes the great scientist who discovered gravity. Naveen, this is precisely what we are going to learn here. Newton might have thought that there is some unknown power which pulls the apple down. On conducting more experiments, he must have inferred that it is the Earth's gravitational force that pulls everything towards itself. Prerna. Yes, that's why we are always down to earth. Even if we jump up, we come down immediately. For jumping up and even normal walking, we need to apply force against gravity. Pratibhatai. That's right. Let's all come down to earth now. Let me tell you something. At a young age, children are very curious about the things around them. They ask a lot of questions to their parents, teachers, and other people around them. As they grow up, inhibitions start developing. A fear of people's criticism and negative reactions sets in, and they hesitate to ask questions. As a result, the number of questions get reduced day by day, and eventually, the grown up children turn silent. Their lips get sealed. We have to unseal our lips now. We have to learn to ask questions freely without hesitation. For that, we are going to study the criteria for good questions, exactly the way we studied the criteria for good observations. Prerna, please tell us about it. Pratibhatai, yes, I am going to do that in the next session. Before that, here is a small home assignment for you. We see honeybees around us, don't we? In your biology class, you must have studied the life cycle of honeybees or some other such insect. Before the next session, read about the honeybees and their life cycle. Exercise. Play the game of Yaksha Prashna. You may choose objects from physics, chemistry, biology, or any other common object. Maximum 20 questions are allowed. For example, 1. Any element out of the first 20 elements of the periodic table. 2. Different types of gases. 3. A metal or non-metal. 4. A compound. 5. A leaf or a flower or a tree or a seed. 6. An insect or a microorganism. 7. An organ in the human body. 8. Objects or apparatus used in physics lab. 9. Objects or instruments related to experiments of light. 10. Apparatus or objects used in chemistry experiments. This is the end of this episode. You have been listening to the book Let's Unfold the Wings of Creativity, an English translation of the original book by Dr. Nalini Gujrathi. Translated by Suchitra Chitrao, edited by Sulabha Sidaye, published by Jnana Prabodhini, and being read out to you by Dr. Deepthi Sidhaye.